Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of What It Is. I'm Kelly McKinney of Hohenheim Productions.
And I'm Josh Gibson of Fourth Wall Players.
And this time we are doing a follow-up on a previous What It Is video, basically because we had a comment that requested essentially our thoughts on the movie after it released.
Yes.
And as both fans of the games and not fans of the other movies, I was really interested to see this one. I was excited for it. And they really led me on. But because of the way that we've sort of changed the Get to the Point review podcast, which is another thing that we do here on the channel as well as anywhere you can find podcasts, we've changed it to more of a long-form discussion where before we used to do lists, so we would give a Get to the Point review on about 10 different movies in one episode kind of thing, all of a certain genre or gimmick. Since we're no longer doing that, we're going to open up our follow-up on Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City by giving our Get to the Point review on it. Josh, would you like to start?
Okay. My Get to the Point review on Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. A nudity-deprived horror movie that features highly trained police officers having their faces bit off. And a love triangle subplot that literally goes nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't even remember the love subplot.
Yeah.
Didn't even remember it. The way that I summarized it is, that's not Leon, that's not Jill, so where is Barry? Okay, that's how I summarized this movie. Okay?
Fair enough.
Because, so, compared to the other films, I enjoyed this one. Compared to the other ones, okay?
It had bits that were likable, yes.
But, well, it's because of how kind of close they stayed to the games.
Right.
Okay? And as well as the novel adaptations of those games by S.D. Perry, it felt good. Okay? My biggest problem with it, besides some of the action, okay, was essentially that Leon was not Leon.
Right.
Okay? Leon was not incompetent. It was just his first day on the job, so he didn't know where it was. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as I knew, he's a good cop.
Okay.
He's just.
You're talking about video game Leon.
He's just a video game Leon.
Right. Sorry.
Okay. Whereas in the movie,
he's incompetent.
He's incompetent. He's completely incompetent. And they keep him incompetent until he can magically fire a rocket launcher at the end. Like to debase the character so that you can have a tired cliche at the end of the movie and pretend it's character growth was really frustrating.
Right.
So, whereas Leon used to be my favorite from the game, like, they've tainted the Leon character for me. They've tainted the Leon character.
I was confused. I've not played a lot of the games, but I'm familiar with Leon as a character, and I was very confused why they went the way they did with that specific character. Like, it was weird to me.
I think they casted a talented actor. But it was a poorly written character. And
speaking of poorly written characters, I don't know, I was just trying to segue for you.
Oh, okay. Okay, speaking of poorly written characters, Claire was flat.
Yeah.
As far as she was so two-dimensional.
Okay.
Like,
no, you're right.
It was always just angry conspiracy Claire. I loved the casting of her.
Yeah.
But there's more to the character than that.
Right. Okay.
So that irritated me.
All right.
Other than that, I loved Irons. Chief Irons. I loved Birkin. The casting for Birkin. I loved the casting for Wesker, and I loved the casting for Chris, because to me he looks so much how I picture Chris.
I got you. Okay.
He looks so much like I picture Chris. So Chris doing things like the book and being a good cop is just so Chris. Like, Chris is a two-dimensional character. So when you translate him onto screen and someone pulls off the two-dimensional character, well, that's Chris. That's how I picture Chris. That's how I picture him acting, and he's a badass. He is a badass.
Right. So coming at it from not having a lot of the context from the video games and just looking at it like if it was a standalone horror movie sort of thing, I felt like it was very, very subpar, literally until maybe Claire gets attacked in the house. That was actually a pretty well done scene. the woman just like jumping through the back door all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But before that, it was all very cliche crap. You know, the truck driver was just bad.
Oh gosh, that was
truck
really
driver.
bad. Yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
And
it's like okay, we're mocking how cheesy the games were. I get that.
Right.
But we're tired of the cheesy movies.
Yes.
Like let's take it seriously.
Yeah, that whole sequence was bad, and I think the first sequence in the house, coincidentally between Claire and Chris, was very poorly executed. We get it. They're, estranged. They're estranged siblings that, are mad at each other because they have different core beliefs or whatever.
Right.
You don't have to spell it out for us. Like that was and the way they spelled it out was just horrible.
Yeah, well, and this is the other thing. So, I mean, I may need to reread the S.D. Perry books, okay? But from what I remember, Claire wasn't a criminal.
Right.
Like, she wasn't.
Yeah.
She just wasn't as close to her brother as she wanted to be. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, like, in my Get to the Point review, I was like, that's not Leon, that's not Jill. Okay,
yeah.
So we've established how it's not Leon. Let's establish how it's not Jill.
Okay.
Jill, okay, is incredibly clever and witty, and yeah, she's a badass.
Yes.
Okay, so they got those things right.
Right.
But she's the one out of everybody that's the closest thing to a criminal.
Okay.
The closest thing to a criminal and a dirty cop kind of thing.
Okay.
In the sense that she knows how to pick locks. She knows how, she knows all sorts of things because her father was a criminal.
Okay.
Her father was a famous criminal. Or whatever in the
game.
So I was very irritated by Jill because of how I felt like they made her emotional. She gave me the vibes of who's the girlfriend in the Fast and Furious? Who's Vin Diesel's girlfriend in the Fast and Furious?
Michelle Rodriguez?
Yes.
I don't know her name.
Okay, or something like that. No, I'm saying that actress.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's what sort of vibes I got from the Jill Valentine character, which is not, in my mind, how she should have been portrayed. And then they have, what's the guy who played Chief Irons?
Donald Logue.
Okay, he should have been Barry. He's the perfect Barry. And instead they had him play Chief Irons.
He's the perfect everything. I just knew once I saw him, I was like, God damn it, he's gonna die. He lived a lot longer than I thought he would, though, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I for real thought he was going to die right when he left the police station in the beginning.
See, and they do all those things really well. Those things were from the games and / books. They did those well.
Like I said, I felt like
Chief Irons, even the tyrant thing at the end.
Yeah.
Stuff, I mean, other than Birkin still being able to talk.
Yeah.
As the tyrant.
Yeah.
That irritated me.
Yeah.
It's like, really? This is when they're going to make him monologue?
Right.
How cliche and stupid is that?
Yeah.
When it would have been a lot funner to have him not say any of that crap and then have it come out in ways in the next movie.
Right.
Even if it was via flashbacks or anything for character growth.
Next movie.
With a 31% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, I mean, it did technically make money, so maybe, but it wasn't a lot of money.
I'm hoping for part 2.
So what I was going to say is, I feel like for the most part, after the scene where the woman jumps through the door and attacks Claire, I felt like the movie got much better.
Yeah.
And
when the horror elements really started.
When the horror elements, which is what we had talked about, was we wanted to see a lot more of the horror stuff.
Elements, yes, because it's survival horror.
Especially the stuff in the mansion, with the lighting, the light design, and the certain cinematography, like how there are certain bits where they're in a completely blackened room and you can only see when they're shooting their guns.
Which was fun because that's
a video game thing too.
Yes. Yeah, that was in Resident Evil 1 when they remade it for GameCube.
Right.
There were a lot of hallways like that. Yeah. It was really scary.
I do remember that from the video games, and I really appreciated that they added that element into it. The soundtrack was pretty good, from what I remember. I don't remember being at anything. And really it was just, other than the set design, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. The police station, the orphanage, the mansion, were all just amazing looking to me.
Yeah, the orphanage as a set irritated the hell out of me.
Okay.
Just for the simple fact that I don't remember it from the games.
Oh, okay. Well, see.
So like they created the set
yeah.
when it could have been just the police station.
Okay.
The police station had like underground tunnels that connected to the Umbrella facility.
I see.
In the games.
Okay, so they were trying to more directly relate Claire Redfield to.
Well, what I saw them trying to do is pull in the lore of the Ashfords, which were like the beginning of Umbrella.
Okay.
So that's what they're trying to do with the orphanage. So I can appreciate that. It was just that, like, the police station was already scary enough. So being 100 miles underground.
I thought the police station was great, and I thought the underground and the mansion were great. As much as I liked the style of the orphanage, I can't agree with you in that I felt like it was almost like, why did you add an extra set piece? They were only there for...
Just because it was supposed to be scarier.
Right.
It's an old orphanage.
They were only there for 5 to 10 minutes, and then it was over.
Yeah.
So I can see your point on that, and then now that you said that it wasn't like something from the games, it makes a lot more sense.
Right.
I'm glad they didn't spend a lot of time looking at random people getting infected on the street, because who cares about that?
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's even less like about who cares about that, as it's already been done in so many zombie movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like what we want is the survival horror plus the conspiracy theory busting thing that the remaining Stars team plus Leon and Claire is doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So I also had a note on here about they tricked us with "What's Wrong" by Four Non-Blondes. It's in part of a scene in a movie now, of the movie, but it was over the whole trailer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, like, if they could get it for the trailer and for it to be listened through headphones for 30 seconds, I think they should have upped the budget a little bit to have it be used for the rest of the movie. Because
it was very well fit in the trailer.
It was.
Yeah.
So, like, even removing the lyrics and using the song, like the way that they used fragments of Hungry Eyes all the way through Dirty Dancing.
Yes.
Okay, same thing.
Yeah, like just do an instrumental version.
Little bits of it here and there, because it fit the feel of the horror that they were trying to portray so well.
Right.
And then, of course, there was the overly Hollywoodized parts of it. I am hoping for a second one. What would ideally, from the second one, should be starting from Rebecca's point of view.
Okay,
and so Rebecca is a character you might not know.
Nope.
She's another member of Star's team. She's a bioanalyst.
Okay.
And a medic.
Awesome.
Okay. But she was supposed to be at the mansion. As well as like a couple of other places. Mm-hmm. So what they could be doing is they could be bringing us up to the very end by showing us what Rebecca was doing when they set off the nuke in Raccoon City. Like how she's getting out of town via another way.
Right.
Because I think she's supposed to be getting out of town via a train. Like the one train that actually comes out of town.
Right.
Whereas they used the tunnel system out of the Raccoon facility, which comes out at a different point. And then how they reconnect and, you know what I mean, like kind of thing.
Okay.
And
that would be interesting.
They could use her to reintroduce us to the team from the first movie as she tries to reconnect with the remaining Stars team.
I gotcha.
To join the conspiracy fighting force.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
And then in which case, since they brought up the Ashfords or whatever in the first movie, we could have them connecting with, like, because Claire is the one in Code Veronica X that really finds out about the Ashfords.
Okay.
Which, from what they established in the first movie as her being the super conspiracy theorist person, makes sense that she would dig the deepest all the way back to their roots.
Right.
So, but yeah, like, we could be catching up to all of these characters in the other games, essentially, in the other, tying all those other games storylines together. That would be fun.
So I was a little bit worried about that, because I know a lot of the characters that went to the mansion, all but one of them were ones I knew the names of because I'd heard them talked about before. I think it was like Vickers or something. I don't know who he was.
Yeah, Brad Vickers.
Yeah, everyone else, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember Wesker. I remember the helicopter pilot dude.
I'm pretty sure that was Brad Vickers.
That was Vickers. Who was the other guy that was with...
Forrest.
That was a guy I didn't know.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah, Vickers. Okay. So yeah, so like I was like, I hope this isn't one of those things where they bring all the major characters from the games into this one movie and then kill off all but like the two love interests or whatever.
Right. No, and they didn't.
And I'm glad they didn't.
Right. They kept it. They kept it pretty close to the story.
Yeah.
So. One thing that's interesting is that one thing they changed from the movie to how it is in the games / books is that Brad Vickers, it wasn't an accident that he it was an accident that he crashed the helicopter, but he ran away. He abandoned them. He was a coward.
Right. Okay.
Like it wasn't, hey buddy, it was, what the fuck, he's leaving us here to die.
Right.
Like he ran away and then crashed the helicopter.
Okay.
Whereas in the movie, they made it seem like he was still being heroic.
Right, and they didn't even really as a character, they didn't really even give him much to do.
No, but I mean, it was just an interesting distinction on where they went to go with it because I feel like being a coward and running away in your helicopter is very human and realistic. Whereas making everyone a hero is sort of silly. It's like, well, what's the point if he's going to die?
Yeah. They definitely were planning on a sequel by bringing Wesker back at the end. That being said...
Which is canon.
Yeah, which is canon, yeah. I think, again, I mentioned in my review about... the love interest, the love triangle that went nowhere. The whole, Chris was like into Jill and Jill was into Wesker or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't understand, unless that's something that's carried over from the games. Nope. Okay, well then I don't understand why they even brought it up. To not even utilize it.
The only thing that might carry over from the games as far as that is it wouldn't surprise me if I just glossed over it in the stories that Chris has a thing for Jill.
Right.
Totally possible. Okay, but Jill has no love interest in any of her stories.
Right.
As far as other than Carlos.
Yeah.
Which is an Umbrella operative.
But yeah, and if that's the case, then it just baffles me that they mention it early in the movie like it's going to be something that plays an emotional impact or whatever
and
later on.
And it didn't.
And it didn't. Because at the end of the day, Chris, not wanting to leave behind Jill or whatever, I don't even remember that happened, I just assume it did. Him not wanting to leave behind Jill, he would have probably done for any member of his team.
Yeah.
It wasn't
for sure. Well, especially Chris. Chris.
Right.
He's the outstanding, ace.
Yeah, and then Jill being like, "Don't leave us, Wesker," instead of just shooting him or whatever. I don't know. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I agree. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much how I feel about it. And a very long-winded, get to the point review version.
It's I'm with you. It's, I don't know.
I want them to do a number 2.
Yeah.
In the hopes that they don't carry on with their current mistakes.
They need to course correct.
Yeah,
I think they
not
left
retcon,
enough.
But
course correct.
But just leave behind the shit that didn't work.
I think that they left enough open that they could.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they obviously purposely intended to do so.
Right.
But yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. This has been a special follow-up episode for What It Is, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Let us know how you thought about the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, in the comments below.
Yep, thank you.